A big welcome to all the viewers watching Soul to Soul Talk Show. As mentioned previously, we will be continuing this journey with Eric Lawson, an insurance engineer from New York. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you.
A pleasure to have you with us.
Wonderful to be here.
So, brother, in the journey covered so far, you had explained how you self-taught the spiritual knowledge that
Right.
you got after coming in contact with the Brahma Kumaris. You self-trained yourself with the art of Raj Yoga, and you built a relationship with God.
Okay.
So, having sort of had this foundation of spirituality in your life, did that affect your relationship with that you shared with your family, your friends, the society?
Yes, it did, dramatically. Because when I had the awareness that kind of I was the spiritual being, that who I am is eternal soul, that really changed a lot of things for me. And I wanted to pursue that. I found great joy, great happiness, that there were a lot of good feelings with those values, with that practice, with that understanding. And so, you know, anytime you do something different or there's a change, that affects everything around you. And it affected everything around me. What I wanted to do was to have more of that experience of being peaceful. And so when I started to change my routine, I didn't have time for some of the same things I used to do.
Okay.
And so I let some of those go away. I didn't reject them, and I didn't think that they were bad, but I was moving in another place, and there were other things I wanted to do. And so I changed, and my choices changed, and my relationships changed, and how I work changed.
How did your relationships change?
Which ones would you be?
Say with your family, your
All right.
parents. Are you married?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not married.
Okay.
But I was.
Okay.
But not before this. Okay. So when I came into the spiritual knowledge, I had been married.
Okay.
Okay. So it didn't affect, my personal. I was living by myself.
Okay.
And so my routine, my eating habits, a number of things did change. And that was a challenge. It was described to me one time, and I think this works very well, that when you're in a relationship or a friendship or with family with someone, everybody kind of learns how to dance the same dance. Okay, you have this, you do this, and there's a routine, and there's an interaction, and there's a pattern that's set up. And when you change, you force everybody else to adjust somehow. And not everybody's always ready to change.
Right.
If you're a dance partner and you move this way, they have to come with you if they're going to be your partner. And so anytime somebody does something that's not used to it, one might be in a caste, and if they don't follow the rules of that caste, everybody in the family or that group kind of is threatened because there's something different. They're going outside of that. There's a change. And so that's a situation I put my friends and family into, and my work individuals. There was a time when at work you would have to entertain clients. And so in the insurance business, that would mean something. You would go out, you would have dinner, you would stay out late, there would be drinks, and there would be just kind of that camaraderie that was built. And when one stops doing that, people, what's going on? They question,
Right.
and it forces them to think about themselves. They think about, well, why is he doing this? Is he rejecting, or is? And so
Right.
when you change, you actually offer the opportunity, or another way of saying it is you force other people to reflect and to change, or possibly change also. And not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody is willing to do what's right for themselves. It's quite amazing, actually.
So, like, in a way, was your spiritual shift in this lifestyle not accepted?
It was accepted, but I learned a lot about how to still interact with others, because what was not accepted and what was not tolerated and what nobody wants is for me to say, I have found something, I have changed in a way that is better, and therefore I think you should do the same. Nobody likes that.
Right, nobody likes
Nobody
that.
wants you to
Nobody wants advices.
put your values
Right.
on them. It's very unpleasant all the way around. And unfortunately, a lot of people who find something, the new converts or the zealots or those who are the ones that do that the most. And it happens quite a bit in any kind of thing. Kids go through that. They find something and they want this, and then they forget it and they try something else. But for me, I learned that I needed to have that respect for others. That just because I found something and it's right for me, that doesn't mean that it's going to be. And so would offer and would share and sometimes say what I was doing and why and see what the response was. And if people were interested, they'd communicate that. And if they were not interested, you'd pick that up if you were sensitive. And so the relationships could be the same, sort of, but you didn't have to end them. But I also found that, I was in high school, went to high school and college, that even though you like people, even though that they're your best friends, everybody still moves on. And everybody moves on differently. And so I had some very good friends in high school, but over time, any choices that are made take us farther apart. And so trying to hold on to a moment or a situation is actually very, very, very difficult with parents or with children or with friends or with workers. Being in one place, having one awareness and trying to freeze that relationship at that moment in time is impossible. So whether we like it or not, we're always changing.
Have you lost any relations?
I don't necessarily keep in touch as well as I should. And I don't know if it's based on my spiritual perspective or things like that.
Okay.
However, I do believe that because of my choices, because of what I'm interested in, and because where I want to spend my time, those who don't want to spend time with me that way and spend time in others, there's been a gap that's grown in there. Doesn't mean that we're enemies, but we just don't need to spend our days together. And I'm thinking of some friends now. I went to a school and a college, and there was a lot of camaraderie through sports, and there was a lot of camaraderie through drinking alcohol. Okay, and I remember being a part of that and feeling the bonding. But personally, I don't need those things to have friends anymore.
Friendship, right.
And so when I stopped kind of spending my time in that environment, in that situation, I didn't share the things that I did before. And so that gap, that separation, that change was a little more predominant. And so I don't see them as much as maybe I would like to. On the other hand, I am a little remiss in making the effort to show up to a lot of those things too. You can't do everything and you can't be everywhere.
But
So
but can we say that this sort of change and gap that you have experienced, is it like inevitable if one takes up spirituality?
no. And it even happens within the spiritual community.
Okay.
I recognize that I like to do certain things we're here in India, and within India there are some who like to sit for long periods of time. Okay, well that's great, but I get a little wiggly, and so I want to do something also. And there are those who want to spend all their time in the kitchen. Well, that's great too, but I don't want to spend all my time doing that. So there's always going to be gaps or changes with everybody. And so it's not the issue of spirituality. That might highlight it, that might make it very distinct, but there are a number of people that even who I like and share the same points of views and beliefs with, we're different, and so we don't want to spend that much time, even though we like each other. Okay? I don't think I want to talk to you for the next 48 hours. I need a break.
And have you changed your outlook on the purpose of your life, your
Yeah.
future after starting this journey?
Yeah, I have. because it brings some clarity. Before, spirituality or a religious belief for me was something kind of off to the side. And now it becomes more predominant, more of a major theme, a major factor that I want to encourage. And I find that naturally, and it's not exactly my way of being, that because I like it, because I've enjoyed it, I'm very happy to share that with others. I'm actually happy and wanting to let others have that same experience. And so if there are people who are interested, I'm willingly want to spend my time with those. If they're not, then that's fine too. But there's something about the flow of energy that when I get something and I like it, I want to share that. And so, yeah, I've spent more time in a conversation like this, talking with people, sharing with people, answering questions, making things happen so that people can have this experience, and I find that to be great.
What about your inspirations, your role models? What did you have any person who inspired you to keep going on this journey? Was there anything that
not that I can think of.
Okay.
I think the people in my life have been very fine, but there's not one person. It's not like a Gandhi or a Mandela or a Martin Luther King. They've been inspirations, and so I think each time someone like that comes in front of me, it's yes, I can do it. Unfortunately, for a long time, I didn't know what I would be doing. And so there was a time when I wasn't quite sure what to do, how the world is working, why things are the way they are, a little bit of confusion. And so it's nice to know that there are people out there, but there wasn't a specific moment or instant or person or any one hero in that sense.
In one more aspect, let's say we can call it a general assumed notion by the public that people who take up a spiritual lifestyle are quite emotionless, like they're very stoic, very they don't express themselves much.
Okay.
Has anyone given you that such a comment?
I don't think so. I don't recall anybody saying that, because I guess it's a personal kind of demonstration of how you feel. It is not a joyless or a unhappy place by any means. And I think this will be my opinion. Everybody can check and see what they find. But those who are very comfortable with themselves, those who have found spirituality and can integrate that, one of the aspects of, in my experience, of true spirituality is accessing joy and happiness and peace and bliss and those qualities and using them and being able to activate those in others. And that's a very interesting concept to me. Is if one is powerful, it doesn't mean that they are withdrawn by any means, but it means that they have the ability to spiritually activate those qualities in somebody else. And so, some people are naturally happy, some people are not as happy. And the more you have, the more you can share and bring out in others. So I think talking about spiritual things can be fun.
Were you a fun-loving person before?
I think so.
Are you still one?
I think so. I think so. Although fun is different. I mean, when I was much younger, you'd run around and do things. I don't have that much energy to run around and do the same things I used to a long time ago. But it doesn't mean that the creative understanding and the external show, of guffawing and laughing and the wildness is toned down. That's very true. But it doesn't mean that one can't find special qualities, inspirations, and have that nurturing of that experience, but still be able to see that anywhere else and bring that out in others also.
So how do you
How do I have fun?
Yeah, how do you have fun?
That's a very good question. Being creative. I think being creative is a nice way to tap into that. And some of the other things, and it depends on who I'm with. because I've got some friends in the spiritual things, and we can talk, and we have a lot of fun just in our conversations. Because what's interesting about it is when you see things with someone who understands you, it opens a portal to be able to share. And so those who've gone on the experience, who've had these awarenesses, you can start to see things in one way and then start to see it in a little different, okay? And that can be a lot of fun. Just being able to change perspectives, seeing things differently, and stepping out of your own mindset and moving into somebody else's, and then being able to be flexible in how you see things can be quite entertaining.
Brother, you said now you do not have a TV, and you avoid late night parties, and do you go to movies now?
I typically don't.
Okay.
Because what I have found is that entertainment, movies and TVs and things like this, is kind of an extension of someone's thinking and how they see the world, and either what they want to create or how they want to make others feel, or what they want to share from their thoughts. And I find that I'm very selective now. That what I have actually, the process I feel I've gone through is become aware of what I consume, both physically and mentally, and that how those thoughts, those images can affect me. And so I become a little more careful in what it is that I pick up, what it is that I might read or allow to come in, because I'm sure your listeners have had the experience of seeing something, and then there's a shadow or an after effect or a residual experience. Right. And so it stays with you. I don't like horror films. I don't like being scared or tense or anything like that. I feel I'm manipulated a little. But I do like to laugh. I do like to enjoy things. And so there's kind of not much of a network, but there are some people who say, well, this was a nice film because it's happy or joyful or peaceful or has a message. Those, and I can't think of anything right offhand, are fine. But I actually not so patient watching 2 hours of somebody else trying to sort something out necessarily. And so the movies aren't something I make a lot of time for, although a show like this would be very interesting to me. There are entertainments. I've seen programs here, and whether it's a cultural program, dances, singers,
concerts.
Yeah, jugglers, musical instruments. There's some people who are very talented, and that type of entertainment I find quite pleasing. But I have to be careful about what comes in, because it was said once very, very sweetly, is some images you can't unsee. Okay, so once you've seen it, it's entered into you,
right.
and you'll kind of remember it. There was a warning I saw somewhere, I don't know what it was on, but it was like a warning that you will not be able to unsee this.
Those images.
And they were right. I was like, oh my gosh, and I think that's very true. So I think if we were a little more conscious about what we take in, what we see, and what it actually does to us. One of the things that I also have understood or believe is that the more we accept something, the more that we, in a way, acknowledge and confirm that it's okay. And so when we watch something and they're doing, the smoking or the drinking or the things like that, tacitly it's in saying that this is fine. And I don't know if I agree with everybody. In the United States, there was a very good commercial about two parents, a couple, two parents, and they were interviewing a babysitter. And the babysitter was like, well, I'm thinking, and such like. But actually what they were doing was interviewing the TV show writer, okay? Because they were looking at the show, who's writing it? What kind of a mind frame are they at? What are their issues? What are they communicating? Are they upset? Are they angry? Are they giving violence? Is this okay? How do they treat women? What are they, what is in their mind, and how are they projecting that through the TV shows that their children are watching? It was very well done. It was very well done because it was getting to the point of who's writing these things, what are their values, and how are they communicating that to you unknowingly. And so being selective in our habits as consumers, TV being one of them, and movies, seems to be very sensible.
But don't your friends miss your company when they still go out for movies?
Probably not.
Okay. Don't they like tell you, ask you to come, and do you say no?
Not so much anymore. There's a time when you say, I'm going to do something else, that they, tend to not think of that. And I've gone through that process. I had friends in high school, I had friends in college, I have friends in work. It's been difficult for me to keep up with everybody I know. And so I start to spend my time more selectively. It was very difficult, but even keeping in touch with my family, I have to make time.
Right.
Time to see my mother. I've got a brother and a sister. And so just keeping up for that is one of those things. I'm not very good at those things, keeping how you doing and such like that. I don't call a lot. I have not much to say. I think of my life as pretty average, so what happened? Well, not much. And so there's no reason to call other than, hey, I'm okay, how you doing? So, but that's kind of not a deep friendship, so
Right.
see what happens.
So, but can you label or categorize all the changes that you have gone through as a yogi as positive, or are there any changes that you say, feel that it has had a negative effect in my life?
I'm going to say that they're all positive.
They're all okay.
But I've made it that way because I've been moving in a direction where that's where I want to be. And so I guess if you want to put it this way, there has been a price. The time that I used to spend doing the things I used to do, I've changed. And I've let go of some of those things, and I've moved on to the things that I like now, but I can't do everything.
Lastly, brother, has your quest for finding the truth, have you reached that objective, or is it still an ongoing process? Are you still on the quest for truth, or have you found it?
Yeah, I fully believe there's a lot more I can learn. I don't think I have found something and I can kick back and say, now I know everything, now everything is clear to me. That would be way overstating my situation. I'm comfortable with what I know, and I'm happy applying what I've learned about myself spiritually. But I don't think there's an end to it. I think one can always learn, one can always refine, one can always be in new situations, meet new people. And every time there's an interaction, another facet of the truth is exposed. So absolutely not. I don't feel that I've found anything, and I don't think that anybody has.
Right.
Okay? No matter what anybody can do, I think if they're honest, they can learn more. There's always a deeper part of the self, the universe, the world, the relationships. And I think if we knew everything,
We would be God.
that's a good answer. We might be God, but at the same time, we might not know what to do with it. So, still learning, still trying, and still happy.
And would you like to give a message to all the viewers who have been watching you for so long on what they should, at least try to experiment with spirituality?
They might have heard something like this before, but it is better to try something and regret that it didn't work out, rather than to regret not ever trying.
Not ever trying, right.
And that would be something I feel very comfortable. To go with what you think is right, within limits, and put your energy towards what you want, because sacrificing yourself will not make you happy, and actually won't make anybody around you happy. To have that and be able to share it is much better. So I hope all your viewers are able to take a step forward in their spiritual journey too.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as suggested by Brother Eric, we wish you also try to change your outlook on spirituality, as because it is just a change in your attitude, and it can be fun too, but unless you try it, you will not be able to experience and change the, say, your old belief and your outlook on spirituality. Hoping that all the experiences shared by brother has inspired you to take this first step. We take leave from you and brother Eric. Thank you, brother, for joining us.
Thanks
in
for
this
having
journey.
me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for us too. Thank you, viewers, for joining us in this journey. Hope to see you soon with yet another eminent personality. Thank you. Have a great day.